Where's my purse? Welcome to the Chaos Lovelies. This is a podcast for women with ADHD, specifically late diagnosed ADHD. Join me every week as I attempt to make sense of it all and find the benefits and the humor of being ADHD. If you'd like to help out the show, there's a link in the show notes to become a sponsor, or just give a like or a follow wherever you listen. It all helps a ton. Anyway, let's get to it. Oh, lovelies, the journey continues. I started trying to find a psychiatrist to do a real and finished evaluation. And let's just say it's been frustrating. One of them did not respond to me at all. One of them sent me to someone else, and they did respond quickly, but those people don't take my insurance. They do, however, have a pretty reasonable flat rate for people who don't have insurance. And they also have a person who specifically does ADHD and autism evaluations and is also neurodivergent herself. So I think I'm definitely going to pursue this one. I had to take a little break because it just gets kind of frustrating trying to navigate all this stuff. So today I want to talk about acceptance. I have spent the majority of my life in a constant battle, trying to prove to myself, as much as everyone else, that I was normal, that I fit. Guess what? No one's buying it. They know. Weirdness radiates off me in, palpable waves. And I get it now. It's so hard to grow up not understanding why you can't do anything right. When really all it is that you just do things differently. I was not surrounded by people who accepted things that were weird or different. I have so deeply internalized their judgments, which honestly became my own for a very long time, that I just struggle with this daily. I struggle with this voice in my head telling me that something is too strange, not normal, or just too much. I always tended to be too much. And that's not my voice. I know that much now. But it is still incredibly loud at times and hard to ignore. And I will say that I have been dealing with some of this recently. It just kind of keeps popping up here and there. It was kind of a struggle. So last week I mentioned the ADHD Entrepreneur podcast and all of Carrie's wonderful information for women with ADHD who want to run their own business. So I'm going to talk about her again. Carrie Out Loud on Instagram, Carrie with a K, and I am bringing her up again for two reasons. One, she recently had an episode about questioning whether you are good at accepting things and how it could be detrimental to not be able to accept the good stuff that comes into your life. And, this has always been kind of a struggle for me, and I'm actually beginning to get a little better at it and allow myself to, enjoy the good stuff, because, honestly, isn't it better to revel in that than the bad? I don't know. It took me a long time to figure that one out. Anyway, the second reason I want to bring up Carrie is that after my last episode, the one about getting ditched by my therapist, essentially, I received a voice note from her that was so sweet and so supportive, and it just instantly made me cry. And it was so nice to hear from someone who cared. I've never met this woman before. We've just talked a little on Instagram, but no one in my real life, shows any interest. And it just absolutely made my day to have somebody take the time to just send me a couple little voice notes. And I had just been out doing back to school shopping with my youngest, and I was just completely overwhelmed at the time when I got her messages, and it was just so nice. I couldn't help but cry. I have another podcast. It's called M's Books and Cats Podcast, and I've been doing that one for 3 years. And it has been rare in that time that anyone has reached out to me. So this just meant so much. It's also nice to know that I'm not just screaming into the void, you know? Someone out there has actually heard my voice, literally and figuratively. I don't know. This is my attempt at acceptance, I guess. Even feeling so strongly about somebody's support, I simultaneously struggle to accept it and feel like I deserve it. That voice is back, and it's telling me that I am pathetic for even needing support and that it's stupid to be excited about it. But that voice is not mine, and it needs to shut up. I'm getting better at telling that voice to shut up. I'm just tired of hiding my excitement for things. I'm tired of pretending that every moment of life isn't so incredibly special. I think if I learned anything from my dad dying and everything that's happened since is that you just never know what life is going to hand you, and you don't know how long you have, so why not just enjoy it and look around and see how truly incredible it is? I just want to celebrate life. I want to accept all of the goodness around me, and there just seems to be just so much right now. And the more that you accept, the more that comes to you. You know, it's a snowball effect. The same as like a negative thought spiral, you can also build up good stuff by accepting the good, enjoying it, taking it in, and then just giving it back. And it just becomes this beautiful cycle. And I want to get into that cycle and not the dark, sad one. And amazingly enough, I think I am getting there. I used to think that the good stuff was limited and that somebody else having something or winning something, gaining something, meant that there was less for me. And now I understand that it's an inexhaustible resource. There is plenty for everyone. I don't know. Just bring on the good stuff. I'm ready. But now for something a little less good, though it's not because somebody didn't try. So we're going to do a little story time. This one kind of resurfaced lately, but let me kind of start at the beginning. Recently, I read a couple of things that said that women with late diagnosed ADHD usually have certain things on their elementary school report cards. Can't focus, can't sit still, loud, disruptive, or even daydreamy, right? Not to mention as you get older, mature for your age and all that good stuff. So recently I was doing a major house cleaning. I know, I was motivated. It was amazing. And I found my old report cards. Well, I found the only report card that was saved in my baby book, which that's a whole other story. But it was my 3rd grade report card. A very, very bad year for little M. I remember it well. It's one of the only years of school before high school that I really remember clearly. And not for good reasons. And not for good reasons, you know. My teacher that year was a nightmare. And among other horrifying classroom moments, I have a very clear, though brief, memory of a meeting that she called with my parents. And this meeting is one that became part of my family lore, a story that they would repeat over and over throughout my life. And I always remembered it the way they did. She claimed that I was obviously having problems at home, and then she was the one who got divorced that summer. There was always some gloating here, and occasionally they would surmise that she was probably also an alcoholic. And yes, there was as much judgment there as it sounds. So this report card brought back all of that and more. The reality of it hit me hard. Though none of it really surprises me now. Their parenting choices are just baffling when I look at them now. So it starts out well. The first half of the year goes fine. And then after Christmas, things got more concerned and much more detailed. I wasn't focused, I was struggling, etc., etc. And these were the comments that led to the meeting with my teacher. That meeting is a horrifying moment that I have worked little M through so many times in therapy. And their story always filled in the rest. Until now. The last comment on my report card, the last quarter of the year, was so different. It was gushing, and it thanked my mom profusely for all of her help. And I suddenly remembered. I remembered her sitting in my classroom behind me, tight-lipped, always looked pissed. I remember her volunteering at school events only to bitch about it before, after, not during, plaster that fake smile on, that was during. But nothing but complaining all the way around. And I have to wonder, did my teacher buy into the bullshit after everything? Or did she just give up? I do remember her being so much kinder to me after that meeting. And if I think about it, probably a little pitying. Those comments just seem like too over the top, like maybe a bit sarcastic, which would also make sense why that story has never gone away. Not when my mother could rewrite it and gloat. And that part has been bugging me for a while now, because I have so much compassion for addicts, for anyone that is hurting enough to need something to take the pain away. Is there anyone who hasn't done this in some way? And marriage is difficult, no matter what. Most of them don't survive. And sometimes ones that do survive should have ended, but they just continue out of pure stubbornness or a feeling of having to do certain things socially. I don't know. It's an icky story, not the worst one that's popped up lately, but an interesting and eye-opening expansion of that memory. And honestly, thank you to that teacher for actually trying to call my mom on her bullshit. She saw it, and she actually tried. Very few people ever actually tried. A lot of people saw it. Some of them would even kind of allude to it. But no one dared to challenge any of it. Fucking cowards. And yeah, I am angry. I was a kid, and no one even tried to protect me from anything. I have always just been on my own. I've had to figure everything out on my own. And I think ADHD actually helped me survive in a way. I'm a problem solver, and I am resilient. And I think outside the box, because I am outside the box. I learned early on that I was too much. So yeah, ADHD also caused some of my problems. But I don't think I had much of a chance anyway, normal-brained or not. If I was, quote-unquote, normal, I would probably still be trying to meet an impossible and absolutely ridiculous ideal. No thank you. I'll be over here vibing to the song in my head and searching my house for my purse daily. This is the best part of finally having a name for this mess, is that I'm just different. I'm not somehow just incapable of these supposedly simple things. I'm not just randomly stupid in this one section of life. I'm just different. And it's nice to not have to question why everyone else always seems to know what's going on when I feel clueless. And now, instead of seeing my quirks as things to hate and to try to shove deep down inside, I can just let them be. I can let myself be. I still can't quite wrap my head around the amount of daily torture that I have inflicted on myself. I wish anyone that I have ever been rude to could see into my head, because, yes, I am a bitch, but I am so much worse to myself than I have ever been to anybody else. It has been really tough to stop the constant and immediate negative thinking, and I'm definitely still working on it, but it has gotten so much better. For so long, I thought that hating myself was something that I just had to do, like it was just part of life. It never even occurred to me that I could like myself. Not even like a little bit. Anytime we do one of those like self-esteem things at school, it always seemed like, yeah, sure, I get this. Like I watch the specials on TV, but like, that's not for me. That's not about me. I'm just so glad that it's getting easier. It is such a relief to have these new things pop up and just be able to handle them. without like an intense emotional reaction. And it gives me hope that I am healing and that I can actually stand on my own again. There was a time when I thought I would be in therapy for the rest of my life, as I've said before. And I love therapy, and I firmly believe in it. I just personally need a break. I've been doing it for a while, pretty intensely. If you are in therapy and you're still benefiting, keep going. If you've thought about trying it, go for it, and take time to find someone who works for you. But, as always, I'm not any kind of professional, so don't take anything I say too seriously. I only know what works for me, and I'm weird. And I accept my weirdness. I love it, and it has led me on an interesting journey that has finally brought me to somewhere wonderful. I like that it's more of an internal feeling than like an actual place. It travels with me, So I guess that's all for this episode. I hope you all have a beautiful week. I hope wherever you are, you can find the wonder around you, even just for a moment. And as always, I hope you find your purse.
A Frap Media production.